Ed Funnekotter, the head of AI at Solace, and today I'm going to give you a talk about event-driven architecture driving agentic AI platforms. Let's get started. Hey Bob, presentation due at 1 p.m. today. Ricardo, heads up. Doctor, the patient has lost consciousness. Life is event-based. People need to react in real time to survive and thrive. So what about AI agents? First, let's back up a little bit and explain what an AI agent is. An agent is a software program that can use artificial intelligence to perform tasks on its own to achieve specific goals. It is like an employee that is flexible and adaptable, but with only one real area of expertise. Some examples are a web researcher. Get me the history of IBM. A Jira agent. Give me a summary of all my recent issues. Or perhaps a support agent that can comment on new tickets and help out support agents with their job every day. So if an agent only has one area of expertise, you're going to need multiple agents to cover all your needs. This is where agentic AI platforms come in. Agentic AI platforms can combine many agents to perform a wider range of tasks. This example shows a fixed flow of agents. They will perform the same set of tasks for every input. A more adaptive form of agentic platform is using dynamic orchestration. By including an orchestrator in the middle of the system, it can break the input request into individual tasks and call the appropriate agent to fulfill those tasks. How do you want your agents to behave? Should they just be part of a fixed assembly line? Or would you like them to be available to respond to whatever event comes in real time? So how do you build these agentic platforms? Well, today, most of these platforms are monolithic Python applications. Code is used to create and configure agentic flows. Dynamic execution is through function calls, if it's possible at all. So how can it be done better? Well, let's start with this monolithic application. In this example, we'll use the more advanced type of agentic platform, which is capable of dynamic orchestration. Because it is one application, it has all the problems of monolithic applications throughout its life cycle. It will require full system restarts for every small change. If something goes wrong, the whole system will fail. How can we improve this? Well, you probably guessed it. Let's add some EDA. Now we have an event broker in the middle. Each of the components is now its own small application with communication through the event broker. Decoupling is natural, and each component only needs to know what topic to put onto the events that it publishes into the broker. This design brings full async behavior to the system, allowing it to process many requests simultaneously. Redundancy and horizontal scaling become natural in this architecture. But we still only have a single request input. Let's fix that by adding gateway components. Gateways add a critical piece to the platform, performing many functions. Not only do they perform authentication and authorization, they can completely customize the role and the persona of the agentic platform by providing detailed access control over all the agents and their actions within the system. The orchestrator is also provided a system purpose by this gateway, so that any requests that come in through that gateway will get a specific persona of the system. But we aren't done. Don't forget we're an AI platform. We can now abstract all the AI services that each of these components calls. By providing access to AI over the event broker, we can now decouple all the AI models. Components in the system don't request AI by model name anymore, but instead they request it by purpose. For example, an agent might ask for image analysis, and the request will be routed to the model that the administrator has selected as the best model to fulfill that request. These models can be remapped on the fly. Better models arrive every day, so you need a system that can respond to that. And if you need to have some requests be serviced by local models, that's fine too. So you might be thinking that there's a lot going on here. How can I be sure that it's running correctly? And how can I debug problems when they arrive? Well, of course, we just need to add some monitoring components. These components are passive in the system, simply receiving and processing events as as they need to do their job. Because all operations in the system are traversing the event broker, each monitor can subscribe to the subset of events that it needs to do its job. Whether that is simply monitoring for errors or possibly auditing the system for correct use to ensure company policies are being followed. Finally, possibly the most important aspect of the system is that we can extend and expand the system while in service. We can add new agents, or new gateways, or new monitors, or new AI services. All of these things can be added on the fly to make the system better and better as time goes on. And these new components will be available for the system as soon as they connect to the event broker and publish their first registration message. So as my colleagues know, and sometimes get annoyed about, I refuse to talk about tech that doesn't exist. Slides aren't substance. So I would like to introduce the cognitive mesh. This is the first true event-driven agentic AI platform. It's fully decoupled, infinitely expandable, and debuggable. You build it once, and you can use it in many ways. Security and data lineage are built right in from day one, and it's created by Solids. So I've already described how the platform is created, but let's dive deeper into one of its awesome properties. We can decouple the AI platform from its use cases. Agents give the platform its abilities, while the gateways control the access and the role of the system. They also can worry about all the annoying interface details to allow many different ways to access the platform. Now let's look deeper into what this really means. In this first example, we have a company chatbot gateway that interfaces with the company's Slack workspace. The gateway has a configuration. In this particular gateway, we have a type that's interactive. We keep history, that's set to true. And we have a system purpose that says that it's the ABC company chatbot that is providing information, reasoning, and general assistance for performing business tasks to ABC Coffee Company employees. If we walk through what one request looks like within the system, we can see that the user will put input into the Slack chat. This will be passed on to the gateway, which is registered with chat to receive these messages. It will do a bunch of different gateway processing to properly authenticate the user, provide the roles and access that it deserves within the AI system, and it will also provide the purpose to carry along to the orchestrators so that it understands what to do with this. The gateway will publish this to the event broker, which will forward it on to the orchestrator, and the orchestrator can now begin task breakdown. It will take the user input and figure out which agents need to be called to fulfill its request. It might decide it needs to do a customer lookup or even a customer order lookup. It can do these two things simultaneously if they're not dependent on each other, and it's fully asynchronous. Eventually, these two things will finish and return a result to the orchestrator. When both results have arrived, the orchestrator will be re-invoked with this information. It can then synthesize a response and stream that back out to the gateway, which will be forwarded on to Slack chat. But that's not all you can do with this platform. We will now introduce a new gateway on the exact same platform. In this case, instead of being connected to Slack, it can subscribe to an event broker and receive its input. The company's Jira instance will be configured to send webhooks directly to the event broker through the broker's REST publishing interface. And this webhook will be converted into a normal Solids event. Its configuration for its gateway is quite different from the last one. In this type, it's configured to be autonomous. It doesn't keep history, and its system purpose is that it's an ABC support assistant. It receives newly created support issues, and if additional information can be retrieved from the company databases, the assistant will provide it as an internal comment to that Jira. This will help out the ABC company's support agents to answer the questions of the ticket by having this information readily at hand. So let's do a walkthrough of that. So first, you'll have a customer ticket being created within Jira. It will be forwarded on as a webhook to the event broker. This will get passed on to the gateway because the gateway has previously subscribed to those events. The gateway will do its normal processing, providing the appropriate role access to the system, and provide a different system purpose now to the orchestrator than the last one. It will send it to the event broker, which as usual be forwarded on to do task breakdown by the orchestrator. In this particular request, it has to do an order lookup first. That order lookup will return its results. The orchestrator will be re-invoked with those answers, which will then allow it to do a further lookup into the product marketing info, because it might have needed some of the information from the order lookup to do that. That result will be returned back to the orchestrator. Now it has all the information it needs, but it's not going to respond back to the gateway. In this case, its persona and its purpose says that it's supposed to add a comment to Jira. So its final task is to invoke the Jira AI agent to add a comment into that issue that was originally created, with all the information that it retrieves throughout this process. All of this happens autonomously, and it's all kicked off by that first Jira that was created. So, as I mentioned before, slides without substance are meaningless. So let's see this in action. In this demo I've prepared, we have created a fictional coffee company, ABC Coffee, and I will demonstrate those two example use cases I walked through earlier. The cognitive mesh that's set up for this company has 3 different gateways created. The first one is that Jira flow that I had showed. The second one is a Slack integration called BeanBuddy. This is that helpful company chatbot that's there for employees. The third one is a much more terse and to the point ABC order bot. This thing has elevated permissions, so it's able to actually insert, delete, and change orders as requested. So if I move over to the actual live presentation now, I will first introduce a tool that I'll show during this presentation, which is our cognitive mesh visualizer. This is hooked up to the event broker so that it can actually listen in on all the different actions that are happening. I can click over on agents, and it's also listening to the registration messages of the agents, so we can see what is accessible to the orchestrator. I'll just show a couple things here, like the Jira request has a bunch of actions that it's published. And if I look at the one we're going to use, which is the Jira add comment, I can see that it's able to add a comment. It takes in an issue ID, the comment text. If it has attachments, it will also get sent along through here. And here is one important thing. It has required scopes. This is something that controls whether or not you coming in through a particular gateway can actually use this action. If you aren't able to use the action, it's not made available to the orchestrator, and there's no way for you to call it. So if we go over to our Slack BeanBuddy chatbot here, I can now interact with it. I can just say hi to start with, just to see that it's available to me and it's friendly enough to see. And if I flip over to see my visualizer, I can see that it came in here. This went off to the orchestrator, and the orchestrator actually already responded to me. Hello, Edward. Welcome to the ABC company chatbot. So I've added myself as an employee into this ABC Coffee company database, and I want to do a request to help myself out. To avoid me having to type it, I'm going to just cut and paste it from this notepad. And in here, I'm saying, I'm going to visit Midtown Roasters, one of my customers, in 2 days. Please prepare a prep sheet for me. Return it in a markdown file that contains all the info about them, including orders, support tickets, and call logs. So I'll kick that off. And if we go over to our visualizer, we can now see that it's going through there. And it's going to do a lot more work than my original hi. The orchestrator is going to decide that it's going to open up the agent to do ABC Coffee queries. And then it's going to actually do a query on the company to get a bunch of information. That's going to continue on. But what's nice about the system is that it's just up and running, and it can be used for other things at the same time. So if I go over to Jira, I can now add a new issue. So I'm going to pretend to be a customer here and create a new issue within this Jira system. So let's just say information, please. And again, I've pre-written the request here, so I don't have to type it. But my request is, hi, this is Bob from Chesapeake Cafe. This again is one of my customers. Can you look up all the products we buy and give me all the detailed marketing information that you have about each of these products? I'm trying to improve our in-store displays. So I'm going to kick that off. So this is just normal Jira. It's added this issue into the system. And at this moment, all it has is the description that came in from Bob. However, that has kicked off a process within our cognitive mesh. And this is the stimulus that came in based on that request through the webhook from Jira. And now it's going to actually go off and do a bunch of information to try to solve those or that query for it. So it's already starting out saying, find the customer ID of Chesapeake Cafe and list all their orders with product details. That's going off to one of the agents, and it will continue working. Let's go check in on our earlier one about finding out my prep sheet. So it's already done a bunch of queries, gotten a bunch of information, and still looking for the sales call logs here. I will say that this is a little bit slower than it should be because it's all running on my laptop. And it's using our development AI services, so they're a little bit slower than they would be in production. So this is still running, and if I go back over to Slack, I can see that it's actually preparing me now this prep sheet. So it's downloading this sheet, which will have all the different bits of information I need to go and talk to my new customer or my customer when I go visit them in 2 days. So here's my prep sheet that it prepared all autonomously. Midtown Roasters prep sheet. Here's the customer information where they exist. Here's all the recent orders, support tickets. There's only one recent call log. And then it gives a few key observations and action items. So pending all orders, it lists them all. It says you might want to follow up on them. It says there's an open support ticket. There's an urgent open support ticket regarding a recent large order delivery. This needs immediate attention. Pretty important that I know this before I go visit them. It pulls in some stuff from the last sales call log and so on. So it's really done a lot of work for me here that I would have had to do somewhat manually. If I go off to back to here to see if it's finished doing this work for Jira, it's still getting more information about each of the products that it needs. Again, here, get detailed product specifications for product ID 2, Columbia and Supremo, and it's getting all of this information from the databases. So while that's running, I'll show one more thing. Again, I just want to show how dynamic the system is. So I have the Slack bot, or sorry, the Slack interface running right here as a small application. I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to change its configuration. Right here is our system purpose that describes how it should behave. I'm going to add one more line in here to say, always, always respond in the French language. I'll start it up again. And so now I've changed the gateway for the Slack interface. And once it's up and running, I'll be able to interface with it through Slack, as I just did. But if I say hi now, it now responds to me in French. It's as easy as that. You want a multilingual interface? No problem. Just create one for each language you want. This is some of the magic of AI. If I go back over to the Jira, so now we have all of the information. Let's create a comprehensive comment for the Jira issue. So it's about to go and enter this into Jira, having received or gone in to get it. Having gone to get all of the different marketing information for all the different products that this company had ordered in the past. And so it's opened up the Jira request. Let's add the comment to the Jira issue, and about to do that. Now we'll just go over to Jira, and we'll pop up here momentarily. Here we go. So here it's just called the add comment with all the data that it has. And if we come over here, and I have to reload the issue. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this is what was completely autonomously added using the exact same platform that you have for your own chatbot for your company. But now it's created, say, Hi Bob from Chesapeake Cafe have compiled detailed information for your different products. So these are the products that they have ordered in the past: Colombia Supremo, Kenyan AA, Sumatra Mandelian, Guatemala Antigua. And for each one of these things, it's gotten all the marketing information that we had as a company and provided it to it inside this. Now, I've told it to not actually send it back directly to the user. It just goes as an internal note, so someone else can review it before it actually goes off to the customer. So that is about it that I have for the live demo. I'm just going to move on and say thank you to you all and give you one event. So the event for you is that you just received a cool talk on event-based agentic AI platforms. Your event response, hopefully, is that you can ask questions in the live Q&A session right now. And if you want, contact Solace if you want a demo or early access to this technology. Thank you all. Talk to you soon.